Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where today I'm going to be doing something that I've wanted to do for quite a long time actually, and we're going to be talking about all of your favourite bands and maybe some things that you might have forgotten over the last year. Because, well, first of all, before I get into this, because this might be a long video, this is off the cuff, I have no idea how this is going to go, but I need to explain the concept and why I'm doing the video I'm about to do, because we're going to be talking about probably quite a lot of music over the course of however long this is going to take. Basically, first reactions. It's what I do on this channel. Most of the time, as you see, it's first reactions like this video being uncut as well. It's just me giving raw opinions. But when you do a first reaction, as engaging as it is just your first reaction. It's not exactly the best review you could do. So I started this channel back in January of 2019. I'd been doing other activities before, but I started doing this channel specifically focusing on doing sort of reactions and that kind of content. And then because there was like some copyright problems with the band who should not be named, this channel got closed down and I went and started a new channel, which was called Back a Broadcast, which was all like scripted reviews and much more sort of thought out kind of content for the best part. But then about a year ago, because a lot of you guys have been asking me to cover more music quickly, which is the sort of thing it's hard to do with like thought out reviews, I thought I'm going to come back to doing the reactions. And I've got to be honest, I was really enjoying it. I've been enjoying it a lot over the last year, but it's not your A-game content. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to take this opportunity to start from, as you can see, 1 year ago, one whole year ago, and I wanted to go through, just scroll through the list of all the videos I've done in that last year, and there's been hundreds, and I want to have a look and see the ones where my opinion has changed, because a lot of music has come out, and I know sometimes when people reference songs that I've talked about and done reactions to in the last year, I want to say to them, hey, go back and check my reaction out. But I think to myself, yeah, but my opinion's changed a little bit since I first heard it. So we're going to be looking at the songs that have grown on me, the songs that have maybe worn out a little bit on me. We're going to be going through all of that. Now, that's basically the premise. Looking at this last year since I went back to doing sort of first reactions again, it's been just over a year, actually about 12 and a half months now, but I finally got around to doing this video, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So as you can see, I got back into it with Neki and Get Over. Actually, just before that, I had done a bit of a test run a few weeks before that with Bestie. That was just a real test run to see if anyone was interested. That thing got 7.4 thousand views. So thank you. Of course, that's been accruing over the last year. Has my opinion on Bestie changed? Well, I've got to be honest, when it comes to this particular song, it wasn't one that I was super wowed about when I first heard it. I was kind of intrigued about what the whole aspect of the collaboration was going to be. And it's funny because obviously Bestie ended up turning up on Epic Narratives, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about a lot more as this video goes on. And Epic Narratives quickly is just become an album that I really adored. But Bestie was a song where when I first heard it, I thought, okay, I can't really feel what the collaboration brought to this song. It didn't really feel like it added anything. And as time's gone on, and I've heard them play it a few times live as well, I mean, it's a catchy song. I've come to appreciate how catchy it is, but if anything, it's probably become my least favorite song on Epic Narratives, just because, yeah, that's one where I think it's kind of worn a little bit tired on me. But hey, I thought I'd get that one out of the way first of all, because there's a lot of the Band-Maid songs from Epic Narratives that have gone the opposite way for me, and we're going to be looking at a lot of those as we go on. But yeah, that was just one of those songs where it was interesting, because that's the one I kicked off this whole return with at first as the experiment. But then after seeing people like that reaction, this is when I really started prepping things. I got my thumbnails ready and we jumped back in with Neki and Get Over. And the reason why I did that song was just because I'd seen little clips of it. The band was brand new at the time and it looked bright, it looked colourful. It was a brand new all-girls rock band. I was like, this could be interesting. It's, there were so many hard and heavy bands and metal bands that were being covered around about that time that I was like, okay, this could be something different. I loved it when I first heard it, and I've just come to love it more and more as time's gone on. It is one of those songs where, believe the hype is something that you don't often get to say, but when it comes to Neki and Get Over, that song, every time I go back to it, I'm still like, that song is absolutely excellent. So my opinion has stayed the same on that. So anyway, let's scroll through a few of these things. Obviously we have Bride Here, we're still burning, that was great. I Love Me, fantastic. So a lot of these ones we're going to scroll through a little bit because there's so many hundreds of songs. Ratatata by BABYMETAL and Electric Callboy. Worth having a quick stop and talking about that one because, yeah, that's interesting. That is a song that I still regard that as a song that just brought so much charm. You know, it was... We'd seen the video for Metali before that, where you could see for the first time in the long time, we were just seeing BABYMETAL having fun. Yeah, there was a bit of a smile on their face. It was like, you know, Metali was the return to like a proper music video, which we hadn't seen from BABYMETAL for such a long time. And it was just like, okay, this is really exciting. But Ratatata was the moment where it was like, oh, BABYMETAL are going to be properly comical now, and they have been. You know, and I like that for considering that BABYMETAL have moved more into the heavier approach, you know, certainly since like The One and now, you know, what we're getting from Metal Fourth, they're definitely going for a much heavier sound now. You know, I'm glad that they're countering that, but because, you know, BABYMETAL's always been about juxtaposition, and I'm glad that they're countering that with this sort of comical approach. That's why I picked that thumbnail actually when I did the reaction to the music videos, because it was just this sort of awareness that they're having fun, they're being funny, and it's adding so much. So, you know, Ratatata as a song, I kind of listened to it quite a lot when it first came out, but it's definitely one of those ones where you listen to it a lot and then it kind of wears out on you. It's more of a catchy song than a song that is like a timeless hit. So at the time it was great. I haven't really come back to it much in a good 8 or 9 months, probably barely at all, but it always makes me smile when I think about that, just because of the joy it brought to them. I'm not even that much of an Electric Callboy fan, I'll be honest with you. I kind of respect what they do, just not really my thing, but that collaboration worked. I said I'm going to be scrolling through a lot of videos, but I have to quickly mention this though. Nocturne. Trident's Nocturne. One of the few songs that came out around about that year from Trident that was going to be on Dux, but was, yeah, well, basically, look, yeah, the whole Dux thing, if you know it, you know it. But Nocturne, that was originally on Spice X before Dux came out, and that's probably one of my favorite reactions I've done since coming back to doing reactions again. I would encourage you to watch that. If you are a fan of classical music and rock and you want to hear a really great way of putting them together, that one's one of those. My opinion has not changed in that at all. I adore that song. Nocturne, I loved it when I first heard it. I still adore it now. It's absolutely just exquisite. The way they mix like rock and classical, definitely one to come back to. All right, let's scroll forwards a bit. So there's a few here where Yes, and they are a band who I've really come to love, but I'm going to be coming back to them more in future videos, so I'll skip over that for now. Oh yeah, so we hold the whole thing with the Sheena Ringo album, where she'd been doing this collaboration album. That was really cool. I enjoyed that. Again, I don't think I've come back to that album so much, partly because of the fact that it was a fun idea, but I didn't feel like any of the collaborators, their voices were on there, but I didn't really feel like the songs were written to showcase what was great about the collaborators. It more just sounded like, hey, Sheena Ringo's going to do a Sheena Ringo album and other people are going to have fun on it. I mean, obviously, Sue from Atarashi Gakko, she really impressed me. I loved what Suzuka from Atarashi Gakko brought to that song. Momo was cool, wasn't really familiar with her before. Daoko was awesome, but I really felt that was a good example of Daoko, someone who I really like, but I don't think her skills got properly utilized on that. But it's fine, she was just kind of there to sing a song with Sheena Ringo. So that one, yeah, haven't come back to that a lot, I must admit. Ayaka, super underrated. What else we got? Humming by Lila Sakuda. So I've been very struck by the fact that Lila Sakuda is just, her solo stuff, the more I hear it, she is fantastic at just crafting simple melody-based music and then just having just the right, gentle, delicate production underneath. And there's another song later on that I'm sure we'll come across. Her most recent single did the same thing, but Humming was the first one where I really noticed that. It's not a super memorable song, so in that, like, nothing about the sound is so unique that you think, oh, I have to come back to that. But every time I hear that song again, that one stuck with me. It was super catchy and enjoyable at the time. Look how much fun I'm having, and I still love that now. Mirror by Ado, that opened up a can of worms that we'll come back to later. I'll probably talk about Ado a little bit more with some of the songs further up on this list. Now, Koi Ai with A New Picture. Yeah, so at the time when I heard that, I remember saying, And yeah, it's got a lot of views. 11,000 people watched this. A lot of people really engaged with that. So I actually did a follow-up video, I seem to remember, where I came back to this subject. Yeah, reaction follow-up, because a lot of people had commented on that. I remember listening to A New Picture and just thinking, this is a band who have like a lot of potential, but the song sounded like it had these really great ideas, but they were very disjointed. Like the song didn't really click together. Like it flitted between ideas, but didn't really click. Although A New Picture is still not a song I come back to a huge amount, now having heard it in context of the album Come See Me, which I covered on the other channel, actually. I did like a whole review of Come See Me, the album, like a proper scripted review, because that thing was absolutely superb. Yeah, one of my albums of the year. And yeah, with that now as context and seeing how well they clicked on the album, and of course since then hearing about Kotono having to leave the group, maybe permanently, you know, it's interesting looking back at that now and just thinking, yeah, that was them right on the precipice of doing Come See Me. So all those ideas finally clicked on Come See Me. But yeah, just a superb group. And I'm so sad that they're obviously not in that formation anymore. But who knows what happened? And for God's sake, sign what Kazaimon. So what came up afterwards? Yeah, a few things. More of the Shinaringo. Palaneo have been brilliant. East of Eden, as a general, I haven't been super blown away by them, but they always impress. I've not heard anything by East of Eden that I didn't like yet. Just so many good songs. I mean, look at all this great stuff. I wish I could comment on all this because there's so many good songs, but we'll be here forever if I do. So I'm just going to sort of scroll through. Mellows, a band who I wasn't massively taken with on first listen. It was actually when I saw them live that I really got much more of a good. I think it was at the Lupinus Festival that I saw them live for the first time, and I was like, okay, live it really works. I still think that the recordings, I feel like something you need to hear more of the creativity in the studio, but I need to check out some of their latest songs because I know they've done stuff since this. But yeah, definitely when I heard them live, I was like, okay, you've definitely got the energy for this. There's definitely that enthusiasm's there. So I just want to hear that come through more in the recording. So I'm excited to see what they do next. So many things like Sokunaru, the Perfume song, Necro Talkie. There's a lot. Okay, let's keep moving because there's hundreds of songs. So I also caught up at this point. I caught up on the initial Lovebites and Hanabie EPs, both of which I hadn't really heard before. And I've got to be honest, I was really impressed by those. Really impressed by both of those. I was kind of covering them both at the same time. The original Lovebites EP and Hanabie's Cherry Blossoms Are Blooming. They definitely had like a more rough and ready sound, as you would expect, but both of them showed bands who were already like sort of 80% towards being where they would really strike gold. So both of those I really loved. Rolling Quartz, again, I was surprised how much I enjoyed Rolling Quartz. That one really caught me off guard. We talked about them so much in the Discord community, and I was never really 100% sure whether it's like, oh, okay, is this going to be something I like? And a lot of people had told me things, and I'd heard little clips, or I thought, oh, okay. But when I listened to it, yeah, very enjoyable music. I haven't come back to Rolling Quartz as much as most other bands, because I think as a general, the sound is fairly straight shooting hard rock. But I must admit, every time I come back to them, very satisfied. A lot of great stuff here. Fluffy was very, very, not Puffy, that's a different thing. Fluffy, very catchy. Definitely, very small artist. I would definitely recommend checking out more Fluffy. I need to come back to that as well. I Love Me, Iris Mondo, these have been great. Almond Dot, that song was so fun, surprise moment. It was a shame to hear them sort of losing one of their key members shortly after that, but they are back on their grind. They're doing new things, so I'm looking forward to new Almond Dot, hopefully sometime soon. I think they've already started releasing new stuff, so I need to check out on them. What else have we got? So yeah, I was covering all this stuff. Now, obviously then, Neki, I mean, look, I started covering, I came back to doing this channel at the same time that Neki had their debut, so I could just sit here and talk about every single Neki release that I covered every time it comes out, but Reggae Girl, absolutely adore that. Again, that's another one where I did a whole album review, didn't I? Yeah, I did a whole album review of this, so I probably shouldn't spend too much time diving for each one, but Neki is still a band I come back to and absolutely adore. So now we're getting into some more of these Band-Maid songs that came out on Epic Narratives. And again, It's weird because Protect You, that's a song that I enjoy, but it feels very much like don't say middle of the road, but very much Band-Maid in their safe territory. It's not one of my favorites, but it's definitely one that I enjoy every time it comes around. But I'm always happy to let that kind of move on and go on to the next song. Now, I will be talking about more Band-Maid. We'll get into that when we hear a few more of the tracks that came out after the album. I think is when I'll start talking about epic narratives a bit more. Utah absolutely blew me away with her solo album. So My Body Is Cute, such a weird name for a song, but when you start to get the idea of what she was going for, and then her follow-up singles to that, it was really weirdly mixed, but one of those ones again, when I come back to it, really enjoy that. My opinion hasn't really changed much on that, to be fair. After School certainly caught my interest a lot. Seen them live a couple of times since doing that first reaction and hearing them for the first time. But yeah, they were brilliant. So a lot of my opinions haven't changed. Ironically, yeah, so we were talking about the Utaha song coming out and like her debut solo album being just astonishingly heartfelt and interesting. It was rather ironic that at the same time, Wednesday Campanella, a group who I've been a fan of since, I think like 2015, so a good decade, they released the song Carolina, and I gotta be honest, like last year, a lot of the songs they put out last year were probably amongst my least favorite Wednesday Campanella songs. I kind of come back and revisited it a couple of times, but yeah, I wasn't massively, I didn't dislike it, but I wasn't massively impressed by a lot of Wednesday Campanella's output from last year. It was like, it was good. It was okay. But it very much felt like backing music compared to like just how ingeniously like grabbing their music was before. And I do wonder whether that was Utaha taking a little bit of a special flavor and focusing on her solo album. I don't know. Intriguing that. I'd love to know your opinions on that. But yeah, Wednesday Campanella, I need to keep an eye on them, but I'm hoping we get a little bit of a return to form with some more material this year. It's not been bad. It's just like it wasn't quite as magical as some of the stuff they'd released before. So, but Utaha's solo album was incredible. I still forget like Oatscry, who I have been a fan of for significantly longer than 2 decades now. Her appearance on the first take, that made me so happy. It was just a fanboying moment, I know, but I loved it, and I'm sticking by that. So yeah, we had a lot of these hard rock bands at the time. Yeah, Maggie as it's supposed to be called, by Band-Maid came out. Trisale was great. Okay, so this is about the time we started really. Then more Oatscry on first take. This is when we dived into the to Neki's debut mini album thing. Exclamation! Like I say, I did a full review of over on the other channel back a broadcast. I really do think that debut album holds up, because when you look at all these songs together, which I'm glad, because I obviously had the chance to listen to like Marze, Blink and Endless Game together. Sorry, there's a siren outside. Thanks. Okay, so when you listen to these songs together, I think mini albums obviously are very much becoming the thing, and they kind of already have become the thing, especially for young bands who are trying to get a constant flow of content, trying to like build up their discography as quickly as they can, rather than just releasing a debut album and only having one album for the first couple of years of your career. Mini albums are a great way for small bands to build hype, keep releases coming, keep ideas fresh, and I feel like mini albums also, though, you can't just release a mini album and go, like, here's a few songs, hopefully they will be hits. It's like, it still needs to be a mini album. It needs to have variation. It needs to feel like a little journey of its own. You need to pack a lot into a few songs to show that you are more than just a one-trick pony. And for me, like, I feel like this collection of songs, just astonishing how well they went together. I don't think my opinion has hugely changed on any of them. Again, to be honest, I haven't yet really come across any of the songs. Despite what I'm calling this video, I haven't really come across any songs where I've been like, wow, my opinion's super changed. But I know there'll be a few later, I'm sure. But I feel like this album has really held up. And I feel like every time you go back and listen to Exclamation by Neki, it feels fresh. And I know it's less than a year old, but still, it's the fact that you go back to it and it feels fresh and it feels exciting. And I think a lot of that is down to just how much variation there is on the album. The songs are catchy and yet musically very interesting. I think it's a astoundingly good debut. So yeah, all these songs, love them in their own right. We have here I Know the End. I haven't really listened to Lovesick since it came out. I remember thinking it was one of my favourites from her, but I haven't really super come back to that a lot. And of course, Teenager by Utah continued that role of doing songs that had an interesting change to each other. Now, Unchained by Lovebites. This is a really intriguing one. Because when it comes to Lovebites, as a general, it's a band who I don't listen to in huge amounts, but it's more like occasionally I'll put on a Lovebites song in amongst other things, because I feel like they've kind of got a sound that runs through a lot of their songs. They've very much got this big operatic double kick driven kind of music, which is great. It's great, but I mean, I like variation, so Lovebites will tend to be something where it will be very much for a certain mood. I'll listen to them. Most of their songs kind of fulfill a certain mood for me. Unchained, a lot of people refer to that as being a much more poppy song by their standards. I would say that, I mean, it still feels like a Lovebites song, but it certainly added a slightly different flavour. It was funny because I was checking out my friend Neon Reaper, Neon, I was checking out his Twitch live stream that he's actually doing at the moment, which is his fundraiser. As I record this, he's currently doing that, and he was playing some live songs, and he played the live version of Unchained, and I just remember listening to it and thinking, yeah, do you know what, this song remains catchy. It's a real joy. It bursts full of joyful energy, and I still think that Haruna is an absolute MVP on this. She adds so much interesting variation to her drum beat so subtly in this song. But yeah, Unchained was just an awesome song. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, I think that song maybe gets a little bit underestimated, but I absolutely love it. Now, this one's obviously an interesting one. Band-Maid and The Warning. So many mixed opinions I've heard about this. I went into it being a Band-Maid fan, but not really being a Warning fan. Not hating The Warning, just kind of not my thing. And ironically, I'd done a video on the other channel before it came out, talking about ways that I thought they could do it, in ways they could make it work and, you know, make it really interesting and get the most out of what both bands do best. So I really sat down and thought about what makes The Warning special, what makes Band-Maid special, and did this whole thing where I talked about different ways they could put it together and, like, you know, just my personal thoughts on how they could extract the most out of both bands and do something that only they could do together. What we got in the end was a song that was... It was nice, it was fun, but it was definitely just kind of like sticking to the simplest possible variation of, hey, let's just do a song which is rock, has a catchy chorus, nice and simple. And so as a result, it's not a song that I particularly come back to, but do you know what? In doing something straight shooting, it's kind of inoffensive. When I hear it on the album, it's nice. I like it on the album. I like it as part of Epic Narratives. It's right up at the top of the album, right near to the beginning, so it flows by really well. It just kind of like it's just part of that very pacey beginning to the album, that sort of high velocity start that the album has. You know, starting with Maggie and then going through, with songs like this, you definitely, you know, Show Them definitely keeps that feeling going of just simple, straight shooting crowd pleasers kicking off the album. But definitely, it's not one that I would come back to on its own. I think if you're a Warning fan and a Band-Maid fan, then yes, that's just like an epic, that's a moment, that's a thing that you can hold up as just like, wow, I'm so glad that happened. Even though I'm sure no one thinks it's either band's best song, it's not a bad song either. It's just kind of an inoffensive little, it's more just like a snapshot. It's like a snapshot of a nice little moment in time that just happens to also be a catchy melody. And in a way, yeah, it does mean that it is a tad forgettable, but it's charming. Do you know? I don't know if that sounds like I'm damning it with faint praise, but it's basically, it's a charming song. I do like it when it comes around, but I would only listen to it in the context of the album, if I'm honest with you. So moving on to Nemophila's God obviously started their revolution of being a 4-piece. And I guess we'll be talking about them a little bit more as we move on to when their album came out. But God really, for me, was an interesting point because it was when, previously with Nemophila, I'd loved their experimentation, but it was when they did their heaviest songs, things like Dissension, I know a lot of people had loved, that for me, they kind of lost their identity and just sounded like a generic heavy metal hard rock band. And God for me was like, it was like a bit of a turning. I was like, oh wow, 4-piece Nemophila sounds better doing this than 5-piece Nemophila. I think a lot of the reason of that was with the one guitar, it all just kind of backed off and sounded a little bit more nimble, a little bit, you know, more sprightly, you know, just that one guitar gave it much more room. I haven't really been back to focus on God that much as a song, but I have really enjoyed listening to Apple of My Eye a lot more in retrospect. So that was a really cool one. Phantom Sitter, do you know what? They were a really big thing because the Ado connection. I haven't really been back to them. I think it was interesting. I found it interesting, and I was thinking at the time, like, oh, I really want to check out more. But I don't feel like it didn't grab me as much as I thought it was going to at first. You know, when I came out of that first listen, I was like, oh wow, this could be like the next kind of, you know, weird, quirky, bish, whack type thing. Who knows what this is going to be? And although I know the name's still banding around, it just hasn't really, I haven't really been back to them. So let me know, should I go back and check out more Phantom Sitter? Is it going to grab me more? Who knows? It was definitely interesting, but that excitement that I had at the end of the first listen kind of dissipated, and I think other things just took over, including Ado, where I had previously been excited about them. I just became excited about other things, and I kind of forgot about Phantom Sitter, so it's an interesting one. Joe Decky started off that Polka Dot Stingray revival, which has been absolutely brilliant. Stopgap by Melt Banana. The fact that Melt Banana actually did like a serious single with a music video when the band is just noise and chaos. Love that. I've been back to that plenty of times. And Koi Eyes Come See Me, again, I absolutely adored that. The whole album was superb. Again, most of what I could say I already said on my review of the album, but absolutely just a stunning album. And that song was the moment where I went, wow, that's all that technical stuff that I know the musos love, combined with the songwriting efficiency that I, as a songwriting fan, love, combined with just like it just worked as a pop song. And also the fact that, you know, such a great bunch of musicians didn't feel the need to rely on metal. And I often feel like if you want to be like a muso band, people tend to rely on metal. It's like, well, you know, you can't be musos and do something poppy. It's like Koi Eye proved that you can. And I think we all knew that you could, but Koi Eye made it relevant again. Yeah, brought forward the idea that muso poppiness, that's a thing. Although I still hear people sort of say about Come See Me as, oh, well, I wish it was more of a metal band. Or, oh, I wish that Katana did like metal vocals. I'm like, why? It's like, it's something different. I just loved Koi Eye and that whole phase because it was like doing something different. I think sometimes when people hear like, you know, really complex guitar work and drum work and everything, they're like, oh, well, it should be metal. It's like, or it should be hard rock. It's like, no, it doesn't have to be. You know, those genres can have complex musicianship, but you can have complex musicianship in all kinds of things. It's not a letdown if it's not metal. Anyway, Koi Eye, fucking brilliant. Get well soon to Cortana, honestly. So Lovebites, Impact with Soul Defender. STMLT, I heard they're making a comeback, but obviously I started covering them after they had some kind of split up. And I'll be honest with you, I was excited at the time. Maybe it's because they've broken up, but I have not been back and listened to their music, I think, since I last covered them in a reaction, which has got to be over half a year ago. So I think, again, that's one of those bands where I had a lot of excitement, but none of the songs individually grabbed me enough that I've been regularly coming back to them. So I hope they are coming back, and let's see what happens. Maybe Saxophone again will return. So yeah, more of these great ones. Anno as well, Mad Jamie. Caramel Candid had 9 months since they came out with Caramel Girls, and credit to them, the music video for Caramel Girls has now got over 40,000 views, so love you guys. Kakame Meloic, another one of these groups. I'm very excited about them. I want them to produce more material. I'm following their social media and so much cool social media all the time, but I want them to produce more material because I freaking love them. More material, please. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. So I'm always looking out for a new Kakame. This is actually one of the weird things because I follow their social media so closely. I'm always looking out for a new Kakame Meloic song because I can't wait to pick up more. But you know what? That last one only got 83 views. That's kind of sad. I'm definitely. It's one of those bands where I'm going to check them out even if no one watches my reaction. I'm going to check them out. Caramel Candid, obviously. I mean, I will check out whatever they do at any time because they're Caramel Candid. But, yeah. if the shirt's not giving it away, if the big sign behind me is not giving it away. So PassCode have been on a roll of form ever since Emily joined. No offense to the previous lineup, but ever since Emily joined, they've really sort of gained this fantastic energy that I'm really loving. And I feel like Willshine and everything moved them into a slightly more mainstream kind of direction, but they've kept the craziness. Willshine is a great song, though. That's one of those ones that probably gets stuck in your head. I don't come back to that as much as I should. Again, maybe just because there's such a sheer volume of new music, including from PassCode themselves. But Willshine is definitely one of those ones where you come back to it and you're just like, yeah. Talking of catchy, by the way, Marine Blue Daisy as well. They're lovely. I know them in person, but they're absolutely lovely. And of course, Yoasobi with Undead. That song, I think I underestimated that song when I first heard it. And I'm not just saying this because it's got 29,000 views. I think this is still my most watched reaction. But yeah, I'm not just saying it because of that. But yeah, I mean, I've been a Yoasobi fan to start with and becoming more and more and more the more I've heard. And obviously, the Leela's connection with Anno has been a big part of that as well. But more and more and more, I've been like enjoying them. And Undead, I think, is kind of one of my favorite songs by them, despite the slightly cringy, like weird voice loop. Past and future can't change the future, or can't change the past, or whatever it is. Yeah, fuck it. Despite that, still that song, that's almost kind of twee and kind of cute how they add that little sound clip in there. By the way, sorry, I've been going for half an hour. It's starting to get boiling hot. I'm going to turn on the air conditioner. You are going to hear it in the background. I'll just turn it on to freeze the room for a little bit, and then I'll turn it off, I swear. So a little bit of background noise for a while. Folia have been on a great rise. I think we'll talk about them a little bit more again further up, because of course since they joined Amuse. Yeah, I know everyone, you talk about Amuse and everyone immediately starts thinking about BABYMETAL and they have their preconceived thoughts about Amuse, but Folia deserved a leg up for the longest time, and freaking yeah, since they joined Amuse, they were always great, but I just feel this renewed energy. All right, so anyway, let's get into it, because you can see what happened here. Epic Narratives came out, and I responded to Epic Narratives. One thing that I have not changed my opinion on, I'll be very clear about this. One thing I have not changed my opinion on is that I don't think that last song was a good idea. I think having an instrumental song at the end of the album, I don't like it. As you can see, I put like a missing poster with Psyche. Put an instrumental on the album, by all means, it's great for variation, but finishing the album with a member missing, it's like, no, your finishing song's supposed to be that final flourish that kind of sums up everything that's come before. It's like, it felt really tacked on. I didn't like that. That's really my biggest criticisms of Epic Narratives. And I say this given that I love Epic Narratives. I think it still stands. To me, it's probably my second favorite Band-Maid album, still behind Conqueror. And Conqueror again, it has its problems. It has its problems with mixing and stuff, but just musically is a superb album. And Epic Narratives, I think, still fits in as my second favorite. Although this has got so many great albums. But yeah, one of my biggest objections is to the fact that get to the top. So having an instrumental at the end, I did not like. But there's so many amazing songs on this album. So many incredible songs. I've heard so many mixed and it says a lot to me about Epic Narratives, just how different, how opposing different people's opinions have been on this album. Now, at the time, I think that people's opinions on the album when it came out was slightly coloured by the fact that so much of the song was pre-released in the form of singles. And I think people had the opportunity to build up preconceptions of what the album was going to be. And then, of course, when the album comes out, it's like, are you judging the album on what it is as a whole, or are you judging it based on just the new songs that you're now hearing? Have you already got preconceptions? All of these things, it made it very hard for people, I feel, to give a totally fair opinion of it just as an album. Same problem I had with Ducks, which I guess we'll come back to maybe later. No, I think we've already covered all the Ducks songs. Anyway, it was something where I felt a lot that the discourse around Epic Narratives was very cluttered. And so coming back to it now, and this is actually something I am genuinely considering doing a scripted review about as well, because I think this is a really interesting subject. Coming back to it now and just reviewing it as the album it is in retrospect, I think it's a superb album, and I would be interested to know what other people think. Now, yeah, there are problems with it. There are definitely problems with the album. It does have some odd mixing at points, but I think as a general the mixing's pretty good. But yeah, like I say, the thing which gets me is that the discourse about this seems to be opposing. Like, so I hear some people who say, oh, the problem with epic narratives is it's too cluttered, too much twiddle, too much musicianship. You know who you are. I've spoken to a couple of people who said this in Discord. But then, by the same token, I've got people saying the opposite, which is that, like, oh, well, the problem with epic narratives is it's too much focused on bagging singles and there's not really enough nuance and detail in it. I have heard people say the exact opposites. And I think that really just depends on where you approach it from, what you're expecting from it. To be honest, I actually feel somewhere in the middle. And this is one of the reasons why I like it. It has some songs that are very twiddly, and it has some songs that are very straight shooting. And I think the fact that it has that contrast is what makes it so interesting. You know, you have got songs like, it starts off with Magi, which is a very... anyone tells me that's a twiddly song, I'm going to be like, how? Where? My favourite song, I've got to say, my favourite song from the album, it took me a while to come to this conclusion, but on retrospect, I stick by it. My favourite song from the album is Forbidden Tale. In fact, I am probably going to come back. The last time I did my top 20 Band-Maid songs way back in the day, that was before, like, even Unleashed came out. That was a while ago. Was that? I think that was right after Unseen World. I may have done that. But as a result, there's been a lot of new songs since then. And you know what? Forbidden Tale, I say this in all honesty, is at danger of becoming... It's definitely top 3. It is, depending on how I feel after reviewing it over and over again, it is a fighter for maybe being my favourite Band-Maid song, full stop. It is gorgeous. And do you know what? For me, though, it's a great example of... That song has no twiddle, has no excess twiddle in it. It rocks hard, but it just develops so well. I gave it in the end of year awards last year. I gave it my most coveted award, which is the best bridge award. And it was going up against the Anno and Leela's song, which has like a phenomenal bridge. But like, I love bridges and songs. It just, that to me, you know a song's well written when the bridge really shines, because a bridge is basically the opportunity to say, you got a great chorus, you got a good verse, can you elevate it even more? So for me, a good bridge is the sign that you are really acing your songwriting. And Forbidden Tale nails just this gorgeous bridge, gorgeous song. It's just superb. If anything, that's probably one of my biggest opinion changes over the year, because I loved Forbidden Tale when it came out. Really, well, I really liked it. My first reaction, I seem to remember I really liked it. Now I adore it. But then again, you know, formally, when I did the list the first time, my favourite Band-Maid song, maybe still is my favourite Band-Maid song, was Bubble. And that was a song where when I first did a reaction to that, I was fairly lukewarm on it. It grew on me because certain songs, what they're doing, it's something where it's really glorious once you understand it and you can follow it through and you can enjoy it. Because it's not like it's not something which hits you with impact. It more hits you with just like, when you get to the end, you suddenly realize, wow, that was really clever. And you go back and you're like, yeah, that was really clever. And Forbidden Tale for me is that example of that song. But it's also an example of why I think it would be impossible to say that this album is oversimplistic or that it's over twiddly, because it bucks both of those. Now, of course, I'm just talking about one song here, but as a general, this whole album, would I be surprised if someone said they didn't really like it? I wouldn't be surprised. But I think it's interesting because so many people feel very strongly certain ways about it. But for me, it's just a really solid album. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it, of course. But I think that it's very hard to... Yeah, I think if you have a criticism for the album, it might just be that you maybe don't like enough of the songs. But I don't feel like there's one big problem with the album. I think it's an album full of lots of songs, and just if on average these songs don't do it for you, I get that. But I mean, like Magi, yeah, very simple, very basic lyrics, but boy, it's an energetic way to kick off an album. It's a really good first song. You know, Forbidden Tale is absolutely brilliant, like I say. Brightest Star, Letters to You, these are all lovely songs. The One, Go Easy, Toy Emma, a lot of people like that because obviously, you know, yeah. people, you know, there's certain types of songs that people enjoy. It just like, yeah, this was just a very solid album. Yeah, so there you go. I will defend Epic Narratives to the hilt. Not because I think it's perfect. Like I say, my favourite Band-Maid album, Conquer It, is not perfect. I have criticisms against it. I even have a whole song on there that I struggle to listen to because it's messed up in post. But, you know, things don't have to be perfect to be great, and Epic Narratives, I just think, is a superb album. I really do. All right, let's move on a little bit. So, yeah, I did the video as well. The video is... It's all right. I think at the time I was like, "Oh, this is a decent video. This is cool." I don't remember how much I raved about it. It's definitely by that same director who does 90% of their videos and does serviceable videos. But yeah, I don't think I come back and watch that video at all. In fact, recently I saw the video again. I think it came up on one of Neon's streams again. I saw it back and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is the Forbidden Tale video." I'd kind of forgotten what it looked like because it's such a great song, but the video doesn't spoil the song, but it doesn't add anything. So yeah, for a song that's so dramatic, I feel like the video is a little bit of a Yoasobi Monotone, good song, not their best, but still does a good one. Yeah, the Yabai T-shirt Shizan's song Suko, I was really excited about that. I gotta be honest, for a band who I love, it didn't super wow me, and yeah, I haven't really been back to it much since. Maybe I should go back to check it out, but yeah, my T-shirts have such a high hit rate, so that just didn't feel like their best one to me, but still, that was, they're a band who are always so great. Pedro was great. Gacharic Spin, Restaurant F. Yeah, I mean, it's so sad that Gacharic Spin took a break. But I love the fact that even though they're on hiatus, they're still spending all the time together. Like when they went to Now No Yaon, which if you don't know, it's like it's not so much a festival, but like a show at the Hibiya Cohen stage in the park, which is hosted every year, sort of run by the ladies from Shoya. But they always bring in like sort of, the best examples of female Japanese bands to go there and play, and they all play together, and then they all do a big song at the end together and everything. It's just like this really feel-good festival. Gacharic Spin have been a big part of that forever. So of course this year they turned up for it, but it was like, I don't think all of them that were there. I think like all but one or two of them that were there, and they were listed as their individual names with brackets Gacharic Spin afterwards. It wasn't, hey, Gacharic Spin are appearing. It's like Angie from Gacharic Spin. So Hannah from Gacharic Spin. Yuri from Gacharic Spin. It was really weird. It's like, all these people from Gacharic Spin here, but Gacharic Spin are not here. So the hiatus thing's been sad, but I am glad they're coming back, I think, in November or December to do a little bit of a return show. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be awesome. So yeah, covering Pedro and Scent, both are former members of Bish, both been doing brilliant work. I am a big fan of Scent's work's been amazing. Battle Unicorn, Benedict, your band, love you. Love you. So Loner by Neki, yeah, that's a song where that definitely stuck with me. I've enjoyed that. I think that's a very emotionally resonant song. I think the first time I heard it, definitely just sounded like a good fun pop rock song, but I feel like it is a little bit on the repetitive side compared to most Neki songs. That chorus, it does drill a little bit. So it's not one that you can listen to back to back over and over again, but it's one of those songs where when it comes on, like it energizes you. It's got this sort of like glorious power, and yet at the same time it's kind of emotional. So you're energized, but also like people crying every night. It's like, oh, so beautiful. But yeah, it is a bit repetitive in the chorus, but I think that's kind of what they were going for. So I get the sadness of Gacharic Spin's last song before they took their hiatus. Why must you make me cry? Anno, we're going to come back to Anno, don't worry. We're going to come back to her. Phantom Sister, I think that was the last time I covered Phantom Sister. Like I said earlier, I just haven't really kept up with them. Special thanks are always just being special thanks. They're just amazing. I love the fact though, if you look at the preview is me looking at my own music videos. Sana was great. Wasta being great. Perfume, that was a nice one. Polka Dot Stingray. A lot of people really loved Out. I've got to be honest, I enjoyed that as well, but I think I've come back to Joe Decky more times. I Love Me, their latest album was just superb, so do check that out as well. Manatee as well, Manatee, she had the song Forever Young, but then after that she had the song Prologue, and that one's done really well for her. Palano, more STMLT. So yeah, worth talking about Silent Siren. So a lot of people will know I'm a big Silent Siren fan. I've been a fan of this for years. I have been a little bit in two minds though about how to feel since they came back, because I'm so happy they're back. I just think they just still hot. Turn on the air conditioning again. Sorry. It's really hot today. Summer started. When it comes to Silent Siren, I obviously I love this band. I want nothing but the best for them. But I do feel like since they came back as a three-piece, and you know, as an independent, and I think Yukaran is now married to the producer, so the producer's doing their songs. I kind of feel like they're doing it for fun, which is great. I love that, but it feels as a result, it feels like some of the sheen, some of the efficiency is such a cold word, but some of like the just that extra sparkle of like a really well produced group has kind of been taken away from them, which is a shame because I still feel like as people they have the energy, they definitely have the skill, and the songwriting seems to be there, but like you listen to some of it sometimes and I get the feeling like, you know, I'm not a big fan on how the albums are often very heavily compressed and not very well mixed. I feel like they just sound very sludgy now, and for a band who their whole thing is super liveliness, I feel like the recordings since they've come back have lacked some of the liveliness, because they just sound a bit sludgy. Like they sound like indie albums, and not in that kind of like raw garagey way, which again I think would probably work for Silent Siren just because they're so talented, but more just in like the, hey, someone is being the studio person and is not really doing it in the best possible way for the band. So it's kind of difficult for me because I love Silent Siren. I know a lot of people say, oh, I'll just listen to the live recordings, but there's a reason why I like the studio recordings, is because you get to hear everything well balanced at its best, and live recordings tend to sound a little bit more flaky anyway because they're live, you know. Then it's never going to be as good as being in a studio, although you obviously have the live energy, that you don't want the definitive version to be a version with a crowd on top of it, where the band are just sort of playing that take rather than the best take. So when it comes to this, I want to be excited about the Silent Siren stuff, and I really enjoy it when I'm listening to it, but I haven't come back to it so much. I think primarily just because I feel like the recordings, they don't sound very good, but the songs underneath them are really good for the best part. So maybe we should get Silent Siren on the first take or on Blackboard or something, just so we can get like a really well recorded but untreated version. But yeah, I love Silent Siren so much. It pains me to say that, but I have struggled to re-listen to the two EPs, and I see a lot of excitement in those two EPs, but I don't come back to them a lot just because they're a little bit of a tough listen with the sludgy sound that they kind of have. This is a bright, poppy, bouncy sounding band. That's what needs to be captured. Although I will say one thing I do like the fact that in the mix the keyboards are turned up a lot more now, so at least that's adding a lot of tone, but it's a shame when the keyboards are turned up and everything's squashed afterwards. So fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll get some decent like studio live recordings from Silent Siren or something. Idiots, I really want to come back to them because I remember they weren't sort of like a world-changing band, but like a lot this year I've been picking up on Korean bands starting to change the needle and move towards a Korean like all-female rock band scene maybe starting to grow. And obviously we've had things like Rolling Quartz and Rum Kicks before, but maybe adding that in slightly more in the mainstream pop rock area, with Idiots and Quer. Ash Frost, absolutely brilliant, but I will be doing a session with her sometime soon, so stay tuned. This channel down here. We've been talking about the reaction channel. We've been talking about the review channel, but also remember the other channel down here. This channel is the one where I actually interview bands in person and do live sessions with them, and we have it all translated. So you definitely want to check out that channel if you haven't already. And Ash Frost will be appearing on there. Marine Blue Daisy again. That song was so catchy. That was brilliant. Marine Blue Daisy, by the way, they've relocated to Tokyo. They got themselves shored up. They're graduating and they are focusing. So we're going to get some Marine Blue Daisy soon. So I'm excited about the future with them. Caramel Candid dropped an absolutely superb Christmas song. They dropped it right after Halloween. Like it literally premiered at their Halloween show on the night of Halloween. So, that whole thing about the minute one holiday ends, the next one begins. They embodied that. But that was a great song. Really, really beautiful song. I think it's weird. I'm not really someone who celebrates Christmas, but even for me, it's kind of hard to come back around and listen to a Christmas song where you're singing about like the betrayal of Santa. It's really hard to listen to that off season, but I will sometimes get that melody stuck in my head. Again, it's really hard because, you know, you guys are going to tell me I'm biased, but there's a reason why I love Caramel Candid. It's not just even because I know them. I really do think they are one of the greatest bands currently active, full stop. Yes, they're still fresh. Yes, still they have like the teething problems here and there, and they're perfecting certain things, but just their songs are absolutely incredible. And they do it all themselves. Brilliant lyrics, which I'm not even that much of a lyric person usually. Brilliant songwriting. Every single member adds something. You know, there's no cases of the bass just copying the guitar or the lead guitarist just sitting there until it's time for a solo. Everyone is adding something at all points. Just an exquisite band. I adore them and I follow them for a reason. So yeah. All right, let's move on a little bit. So, okay, so we are getting into the space where we're going to be looking at, well, okay, so we have the 2 songs from Ducks by Trident that came out. So, yeah, without recalling it all, because again, I might do a video about this at some point. Ducks by Trident, and don't worry, we'll talk about Nemophilia as well in a minute. Ducks by Trident is an album that during my end of year awards, I gave it a very significant accolade that in chat you could see some people were like, yep, got that, saw that coming, or I understand the reasoning, and some people really lost their shit because a lot of people were kind of angry about Ducks. Angry about Ducks, just saying it sounds really funny because it sounds like people have like a issue with mallards and just out in the park getting angry. But when it came to the song, the album Ducks, I get why a lot of people were kind of upset about it. I really do. You know, it was basically just a collection of 3 mini albums they put out before. It was most of those 3 mini albums put together as a central album with a couple of songs taken off and 2 new songs added, You and Haha. And yeah, those mini albums themselves had singles sold in advance of them, but we were never lied to. They made it very clear. Even the actual announcement of Ducks showed the name DUX being formed of the 3 mini albums, and it was very clear this album is a collection of the mini albums. So again, I feel like some people they get upset because they don't like a certain system, and yeah, I can understand why you'd be cynical about why are you just releasing an album that is basically stuff we've already got. But then again, why would you release a best of? You know, I get why people felt like, well, I don't want to buy this album, and if you don't want to buy it, you don't want to buy it, but it doesn't change the fact that it was a brilliant album. And it was absolutely superb, and they didn't charge that much. It was very cheap to buy, so it was very knowingly done as well. You could get a copy of it for 1,500 yen when it came out, and there's a lot of bands whose singles aren't that cheap. So you know, it was done very reasonably. So I think there was a lot of pushback because it was a bit of a unusual thing to do at the time. But I think it was a fair thing to do, a fair bit of marketing, you know, supply and demand. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to. But what came from it, apart from the fact that obviously it was putting together, 3 absolutely exquisite mini albums and just, yeah, so brilliant. I mean, you think about the songs they produced in the couple of years leading up to that they were basically celebrating with Ducks. I mean, those mini albums on their own were superb, but to put them together just made this, yeah, it was in a way, it was like a mini best of, but it was just an exquisite album. And then they had these 2 new songs, Haha and You. And Haha definitely is a very simple poppy kind of song. I really like it. I gotta be honest, it's one, every time I hear it, it puts a smile on my face, but when I'm picking Trident songs to listen to, I gotta be honest, I don't come back to it very much just because it's fun, but I feel like it's pretty simple. And I feel like Trident have plenty of other songs that do the same thing kind of better, but it definitely is lovely for spicing up a, excuse the pun, spicing up a playlist. It's quirky, it's fun, it's bouncy, and the video as well. I mean, I love that thumbnail, but the whole video was an absolute giggle fest, so I love that. And You was a song that, a lot like Nocturne, I said earlier in this video, which is now almost an hour long at the time of recording, that Nocturne was one of my flat out favourite reactions. Probably my favorite reaction I've done since coming back, because it just, that song caught me so much by surprise. I think You probably would be the next, would be the other one. I mean, yeah, I'm a big Trident fan, but You for me was such a beautiful moment because it was just this beautiful piano-centered ballad that you know, Sakura got in on the piano and done this. And I'd said this so many times before that for me, like Trident had done everything within the rock space. Yeah, they covered all different approaches, from punk to more metally songs, very raw songs to very produced songs. They'd done so many things, mid-tempo, high-tempo. But the one thing they hadn't done was really just step completely outside of rock. And I feel with Haha, they went into quite a poppy direction. And then You, it was just, yeah, for all the guitars it has by the end, it's a ballad. And for me, it was so beautiful to listen to that and just hear this band that I love applying their sound to something different. And it was a very heartfelt ballad as well, because Asaka wrote it about her dog, who she adores. And so everything about it, it felt genuine, it felt honest, it felt beautiful. It added a variation to one of my favorite bands. And I think that kind of, that song, despite being outside of their core sound, just hearing them do that kind of pushed them over the line to the point where it's like, you know, of all the signed bands, that was the bit where I went, yeah, this might actually be my favorite band now. Because, you know, I had adored them up until that point, but it was like after listening to that, I suddenly realized, wow, this band is just so much entertainment. But what surprised me, I did wonder at the time whether I was just caught by the fact I was so happy to hear them do something so unexpected. But in actuality, I've come back to that song a lot. And as well, it is a fairly simple song. It's a ballad. You know, it's not super complicated. It's not even doing anything so original. But I think it struck me just how emotional and how honest it is and how genuinely real it feels. I've come back to that song a lot. And that puts a smile on my face as well. Because I think, you know what? Well, not only was it a really nice surprise, but, yeah, I just come back to it. I come back to it time and time again. If I want something kind of beautiful, mid-tempo, a bit ballady, I put that song on and it just always makes you feel good. It's so uplifting, so beautiful. So, yeah, I guess that's another one where, yeah, my opinion hasn't super changed, but definitely I think it's been enhanced by how much I loved that. Beautiful Days, by the way, great song. Reminded me a lot of Odyssey, which was another song I like, with those sort of big power ballads that Never Filler occasionally do. Spectre continuing that run of PassCodes, really great, catchy songs. Morphonica, I really enjoyed. Tempest, I seem to remember liking, but I haven't come back to that so much. Maybe I should do. So, a few ones in there. Gotta be honest, I haven't come back to Shishamo. That's the only one I've reacted to still. I should probably come back to that a little bit. So, Silent Siren continuing. Maybe Baby Blue is probably my favourite song by them since they've come back. Probably my favourite song of theirs since they've returned. I think it's probably also the one where their sound most cuts through the sludginess. But yeah, that to me, I mean, it's so musically fun as well. It's catchy, but it's so musically fun. I think that for me shows that Silent Siren have not lost their step. It shows that Silent Siren can still be Silent Siren, even if they are now sounding like an independent band with slightly dodgy studio work. It just proves Silent Siren are still there. You know, they haven't missed a step. I love that song. Maybe Baby Blue is a great song. Again, I would love to come back to it more, but just the recording just doesn't invite you. It doesn't sound inviting, but boy, oh boy, is it a great song. In fact, actually, just talking about that's making me want to come back and listen to it again. Charlotte, that was pretty good. Continued the run of Wednesday Campanella songs that weren't like wow, but yeah, it's like, okay, it was good. Yeah. But oh god, I love Wednesday Campanella. It kills me to say that. All right, so we got into a bit of the oh yeah, of course we had the Lovebites release of Lovebites EP 2. Do you know what? Again, this was a surprisingly, it really caught me out how much I enjoyed this album. I will say by the same token though, that I haven't re-listened to it as much as I should, but I think that goes back to what I was saying before though, which is with Lovebites, a lot of the time I tend to listen to them like as part of a playlist. They're not a band who I sit down and just listen to Lovebites, but you know, Lovebites EP2 is relatively concise, and I remember it also sprinkled in a good amount of variation. So I feel like actually, I feel like I should come back and listen to that album again, definitely. Palanao again have been on an absolute run of form. They've been amazing. Nemophila again reasserting how brilliant they've been by redoing style, their previous song, and somehow with one less guitar making it sound even more full. That was just incredible. The Gibson Replay band before they unceremoniously replaced all the members without telling us. I know, it's just Gibson's band. They can have whoever they want. But still, I loved that lineup, having Asaka and Kaho in the same band, and the other two are epic as well. I just suddenly, and yeah, don't get me wrong, they got Yuho from the Peggies now, and I'm all for that, but just suddenly when that song came up and it was like unceremonious, like, there's a new Gibson Epiphone Replay band song. It's like, whoa! Open it up, it's like, wait, who are all these people? Like, you got rid of Kaho and Asaka. Sadness forever, but still, yeah. So that now every time I see Gibson Epiphone Replay bands, it reminds me of the betrayal. Kinopo with T, freaking classic. It's weird because I said at the time that the song for me is like a really catchy, even though it's not like the most standout song. They have got better songs. It is still really catchy and still really enjoyable, but it is enjoyable in kind of a Japanese alt-idol pop punk way in which it does sit alongside a lot of other songs that do the same thing. It is the video, as you know, Kanoba have brilliant videos, but the video is a straight 10 out of 10. It's so good. So much fun, that video. Wild, colourful things you can see just in the corner there. It's brilliant. Absolute must see. The song, though, is like, I'd say the song's like an 8 or 9 out of 10. Probably an 8 out of 10 because it's hard to give something a 9 out of 10 unless it's super original. But 8 out of 10. But the video is a 10 out of 10. So overall, that is an absolute must. But I mostly I come back to that a lot for the song, but listening to the song and the video together, I come back sometimes just for cheering yourself up. That one's classic. It's, again, because of the fact that the song fits into a place where a lot of other songs are fairly similar, I guess the harshest thing I can say is I don't come back to it as much, but that's only because I usually listen to it in playlists full of other songs that are of a similar vibe. But when it comes to I want to sit down and watch a video, that'll always be high up on my list. Sorry, I don't. Ito Akashi Mai Type by Hanabie. I know what she actually says now, but I am convinced that every time I hear it, she's saying sex and drugs. Tell me she's not. She's saying sex and drugs. Kick-Ass by RS Mondo, great song. Rolling Quarters continuing the awesomeness. Underclover, that's a band who I'm really excited about. I need to check out more of stuff. I haven't covered them for a while, but yeah, they were really cool. Yeah, I feel like they're definitely a band who they were obviously put together by an agency, and they got that syndrome that a lot of non-Japanese bands have, where the bassist basically just plays what the guitarist is playing. But I feel like there's a lot of talent, a lot of potential that they have shown. The bassist definitely can play. I've seen proof of that. But yeah, it's just the default thing of a lot of non-Japanese rock bands. It's just, bassist just plays the basic chord pattern. So I'm hoping that they build upon this start and they spread their wings and just continue to improve, because they got a really good sound. The singer's got a great voice, and I feel like they've started off on a strong foot, but they absolutely have room to grow. But Underclover, cool. And they're from, sorry, I didn't even mention they're a Thai band from Thailand. A Thai band from Thailand. Where else would they be from? BABYMETAL and Bloodywood. Haven't come back to this one much. I think I've grown in respect for Bloodywood. Bloodywood have never been like a huge go-to band for me. Like the first time I heard them was years ago when they did well, maybe a couple of years ago when they were doing. They were one of those bands who would always come up on like the social media shares of, oh, you must check out this band, they're Indian and they're metal. Like, it's such a surprise that India can have its own metal groups, but you know. And so before Bloodywood, there was this other group who were like really popular for doing like Indian metal, and it was basically just, it sounded like really standard metal, but someone was playing a sitar, and I was like, it's okay, but it was just basically just replacing guitar with sitar. But Bloodywood, I remember when I first heard them, someone was like, oh, it's that Indian metal meme that's going around at the moment, but this is really interesting. And I remember thinking, oh, this is cool. And I heard the rap bit, and I was like, oh, that's pretty solid, actually. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. But it didn't massively stick with me enough for me to remember the group. So when I came round to hearing this BABYMETAL Bloodywood song, I didn't know. I didn't know it was that band who I'd heard before. It's just like, oh, this is an Indian metal band. I didn't put one and one together. And then, subsequently I've checked out more Bloodywood stuff, and it's pretty good actually. I enjoy a lot of what I hear. It's not super my thing, but I do actually like respect and enjoy it, and especially the rap bits. I really like the rap bits in their songs. Kind of straightforward rap, but delivered with like this really cool style. I just love his delivery. It's really cool. Yeah, it's not super complicated. He's just got this really nice delivery, and he really builds in the syllable changes in a sort of simple but very effective punchy way. I guess that works with them being a metal band, that sort of like good punch quality. But still, the BABYMETAL Bloodywood song didn't massively grab me. It's a good song, but it just kind of like, it's not amongst my favourite from either band actually. But I have to give massive props to Bloodywood, because obviously they opened the door by on their free stop Japan tour, stopping in the Nagoya, Osaka, and Tokyo. They had like some warm-up acts, like a different one at each show, fairly famous, like Crossfaith. But the opening act they put on very first was my dear beloved friends Eminu, EMNW. I will be forever thankful for Bloodywood for doing that. I mean, I don't know if it was the band who made the decision or their agency or what, but to reach out and grab a group who've been playing for tiny live houses and putting them up there on the big stage, yeah, they have my lifelong, they have my respect to lose. As far as I'm concerned, Bloodywood, fucking solid. Any band who goes to a country and says, right, our opening act, let's find who's playing locally. Let's listen, find something local that we like, and pick someone out of the local lifehouse scene. You are solid in my book, 100%. Moving on, Dreams. That song is like catchy as hell. I don't think my opinion's changed on that. Like, you know a song's catchy when you've reviewed this many songs every year and you listen to this many bands. I mean, I listen to plenty of songs I don't even do reactions to. And yet, the minute I look at that, I can immediately start singing the chorus. Yeah, it's like the minute you hear that's what catchy means. Dreams is freaking crazy catchy, and yes, I love it. I don't come back to it and listen to it all the time, because again, it is also a straight shooting pop punk song. Stylistically, it's very much been there, done that, but freaking hell, if you're going to listen to a straight pop punk song, you're not going to do much better than Dreams by Neki. So that is an absolute, I love that song. I like I say, the only reason I don't listen to it all the time is because of the fact that it's stylistically, it's not doing anything particularly complicated, but it's Neki, so it's got the little nuances in there that make it interesting. It's not just overly simplistic, but stylistically it is straight shooting pop rock. But yeah, catchiest song ever, one of the catchiest songs of the year. Yeah, fucking love that. And this is where we move into Koi's Come See Me album. We had Beep Beep. I'm sure I covered some more. There we go. Slip Through. Those songs were absolutely 8 a.m. Just again, feel free to check out my review of the whole album, but just on the other channel. But what an incredible album. Gambler. Now, this is an interesting one. So we had Butch Tokyo, the album. Good album. I mean, Hanabie, as always, bringing just like amazingly interesting variation. But Gambler remains my favourite song off of there. I remember saying at the time that I felt like the only thing that Gambler did that I was a little bit iffy about was it didn't quite, it ramped up a bit too quickly. I feel like the song was built around the idea of ramping up towards the craziness, and I felt like the scream vocals came in just a little bit too soon, and it could have built up to that a bit better. But once you know that and you go back to listen to the song aware of that, you kind of like let that slip. And yeah, Gambler is definitely my favourite song on Butch Tokyo. Unless I'm going to suddenly see something that's going to change my mind, but I can't remember anything else that I enjoyed more than that. That song is, yeah, solid. Love it. Wednesday Campanella continuing to be brilliant. Harlequin by After School. Actually, you know what? Harlequin by After School fits into a similar bracket to Dreams by Neki, in that it is a song that stylistically is fairly straight shooting pop rock, but is insanely catchy. I think Dreams is a little bit more catchy, but if Dreams is a little bit more catchy, then Harlequin is a little bit more, just a tiny little bit more unique stylistically. So those two songs together, you could put those two songs on repeat play together and your mind would be stuck in this sort of numb pop rock happy place. You would be good. Your life would just be good. If you're into like catchy pop rock, put Harlequin and Dreams next to each other and just put them on repeat play. That song, I liked it when it first came out. That song has grown on me. which for a catchy pop rock song is an unusual thing. It has grown on me so much. In fact, just talking to you about it now, I almost want to stop doing this video just to go and listen to Harlequin. It's so good. It's such a good song. Freaking love that. Be Komachi with Twilight. Yeah, that was a fun project. Yeah, Lady Go by Silent Siren. That was another one where I liked the concept, but I felt like the execution maybe was a little bit lacking. Partly because, again, it was supposed to be a song with, it was supposed to be Silent Siren Go rock. And it had like a bit of a rock vibe. And like I said, it was a surprisingly rocky track. But the squidgy production kind of sucked all the life out of it, which was so sad. Oh, Silent Siren, I adore you. Please, 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 just play with some different studio people. I know you're marrying your staff, but just play with some other people. Never Feel It. Again, Christmas songs, I'm not likely to come back to them regularly, but that was freaking epic. They're you know, I've not always been a big fan of Never Feeler's covers, but that cover of the Christmas song was freaking wild. I loved that. Skill Awake, again, PassCode, continuing that quality. Brainwashed by Never Feeler. So I said at the time, if I'd known in advance what it was going to be, I would have probably been more concerned. Like, this does not sound like my kind of thing. But I loved it because of the fact that all of the screaming and the metal, it was based in doing rhythm. So it wasn't a very melodic song. It was more like hard riffs and rhythm. And that on that level, it delivered. It delivered really well. So, yeah, big fan of that one. Brainwashed by Never Feeler. Again, not a song I come back to super often because it's so heavy that you have to be like in that mood. You want something just punchy and like really wild, turn it up to 11. But definitely, if I was coming back to that, I would, if I was looking for something like that, I would still come back to Brainwashed by Never Feeler and also the most recent Spicy Queen by Hanabie, which I drew a comparison between those two songs. And as a result, when Spicy Queen came out, I had that similar feel like, oh, here's a song that's very nimble, changing all the time, but basically it's just turn up to 11, scream, loudness with a focus on rhythm over melody. And so because I thought that when I heard Spicy Queen, I came back and listened to Brainwash a little bit to just sort of like confirm the comparison. And yeah, I absolutely felt like those two, brilliant comparison. They worked really well together. Castella Park with Castella Gang, that the Christmas hats catch me off guard, but that is a good one. If you just want something funny and chill to come back to, the rap is brilliant, so I come back to that a lot. Do you want to check out more by PD, another sort of unknown artist who did a fantastic song there? Quirb continue to like just be like, I have a lot of hope for them. Is it like my favorite band? Yeah, obviously not. Yeah, I do feel like yeah, they do still have a fairly K-poppy sound. And again, nothing against K-pop, but K-pop is a sound that has become a little bit long in the tooth at this point. But I feel like Quir are one of the most they're bringing something so exciting. They're bringing something new, and I really do feel that's gonna. Yeah, I talked about them more after this video, but I feel like there's a lot in the future based off that. Ray Rie with Faint Light. That was a good one. Yeah, again, a lot of people were split on that, but that was a good one. A Mascar piece. Looking forward to more of them. All right, so we're moving into 2025. Finally, we've been doing this video for an hour and a quarter, and we're finally moving in. Oh, so no, there was another Kakame Melodic song. I apologize. Okay, yeah. That's actually the one I thought was the last one. That one was brilliant. And actually, ironically, you can see the clip that's showing there, which is the tripping over moment. I remember I commented on that, and one of the members got back to me laughing, like, yeah. Yep, you noticed that, did you? So yeah, that had me laughing. Kakame Melodic. I really want more Kakame Melodic. Super exciting band. Special thanks, always top of their game. So my feelings are, all right, so the new Scandal mini album. Oh, this is an interesting one. So they come off the back of doing Luminous. And Luminous, obviously, that kind of went in from 2023 into 2024. They had singles coming out in 2023, but the album was really a 2024 album. And it reasserted their band sound for the first time after COVID. But I think even then, a lot of people felt like it still felt like a fairly sort of soft version of the Scandal sound of old. You know, it was a slightly more restrained sound. It was a brilliant album. It had really great moments. I mean, ironically, the highlight was Highlight, which was Highlight is one of my favourite Scandal songs now. So the interesting thing is when we came into this mini album, like their marketing had shifted towards being a little bit more up to date. God, I need the air conditioning on again already. And you could tell they were really focusing on being a lot more, trying to reconnect with like new audiences rather than just relying on the old audience. and there was a renewed interest in marketing, and so they had these songs like Terror Boy, where they'd obviously brought in writers to work with to get them like really good singles. I gotta be honest, Terror Boy, I get such a good vibe off of it, but I have not come back to it really in the last few months. It's probably been like a good 3 or 4 months since I last actually listened to it. It's a great song, but the catchiness is very... It's the sort of catchiness that earworms, but doesn't really stick with you. But ironically, the second single, Scandal, released off that album, much more. We'll come back to that in a minute. Nice. This is me talking about, obviously, Never Feel It suddenly becoming a 4-piece. Again, Wagaki Band, top nailing it, even as their alternate version. Yes, we had a lot of things there. Shika-chan Forever. Oh man, I forgot about this. Yeah, I was talking about Trident being the best reactions. If you just want to see me, like, the greatest I'm not going to spoiler it. If you want to see the greatest what the fuck moment in any of my reactions I can think of, Emma, sorry, but I'm going to call it Ima, I always have. Ima with Scope. There's a reason why I've just got the word what on the thumbnail. But please, if you want to see me getting really caught off guard, go check that out. So Shooting Star, that was the song that re-established East of Eden after they brought in Mina to basically take over from where Wakazaiman left off. And yeah, that was a solid one. But I felt they were going to follow. What came up later kind of totally overshadowed it. Like, Shooting Star was great, but their follow-up single to Shooting Star was much better. We'll come back to that. Pineapple Express, I remember enjoying that. I need to come back and listen to that a bit more. Yes, and keeping on their form. Oh, yeah. So this song in particular, this song is, only 129 views. I really recommend listening to this one. This song was just, oh man, it starts off a bit strange, but it is, I've been talking a lot about catchy songs. This is another one of those super catchy songs. Is it quite as catchy as like Harlequin or Dreams? Maybe not, but it's like really satisfying. And Yes and are a super underestimated band. This is actually one of their poppiest songs, but having seen them live, they can do heavy really well, and they got some songs coming out. I'm not going to leak too much, but I know they got stuff coming up, and stuff that you're going to want to hear. ASSUN, again, I love ASSUN, so what can I say without sounding biased, but Dancing Fool was great. So yeah, brilliant. Progress, yeah, so moving into Nemophila, Apple of My Eye. Again, I really enjoyed this whole album, but Progress is definitely my standout. Definitely love that song. A lot like how N10 on Seize the Fate was just this one song which stood out hugely. So I like Seize the Fate as an album, but N10 is so good. That's the one song I'll keep on coming back and repeat play to. So I get to N10, it's like, well, I don't want to go to the next song, especially because the next song after N10 is probably my least favourite song on the album. But yeah, so it's like, I want to keep on listening to N10. And Apple of My Eye, I like as an album even more than Seize the Fate. But I get to Progress and I'm just like, oh, I want to re-listen to that a lot. So I think my feeling that Progress was the best one, I maintain that. Kirara, oh yeah, I need to do more of her stuff. She's doing great stuff on social media. The From Zero Zero project, I still maintain, guys, do check that out. That's an absolute classic, From Zero Zero. It's not got anywhere near the credit it deserves, but it's basically a student project from here in Tokyo and around Japan. They bring in people from all over, but it's all like kids who are born in this century. So the oldest members are 25, basically. So not really kids anymore, but it's like people born in this century, and it's like, it's about bringing up fresh young talent and getting them to work together rather than always relying on the older generations. Now, that being said, it's not like a disrespect thing. They do take advice from old farts like myself. I'm not that old, but you know, they do like talk to and take advice from other people, but they insist on doing everything themselves, you know, working on their own marketing, working together, writing their own songs. All the artists are within that age group. So massive respect for From Zero Zero. Although it's funny that From Zero Zero, which we think of as being a student project, in 5 years' time, From Zero Zero is going to include some 30-year-olds, isn't it? They would just disband at that point, like, no more. TBH, that was really lovely. That was really lovely. And of course, we had the so Elf was really a turning point in my feeling about Ado and her music as a general. Because I'd said up until, I really enjoyed Ado when she first came out. And then we had like the One Piece Red songs, which is around about the time actually I was first hearing her. And so I was catching up on her first album. I'd heard some songs without knowing they were her, and like so, you know, things like Ado and stuff like that I'd really enjoyed. But I was starting to build up my picture of who Ado was and putting together a collection of music around about the time the One Piece Red soundtrack came out. And so when we got to that point, yeah, I was like, okay, this is really cool. But then her second album came out about then, and I don't know. I am going to go back and listen to the second album properly and check out the songs that I've missed, or maybe songs that I haven't heard. But something about the second album didn't really work for me. There was that song like something Show or something like that, which just I really disliked. It didn't click for me. So I'd been kind of like, when we were coming up to Elf, and we just had Mirror, which I showed that one earlier. I did a reaction to Mirror. Mirror, I was like, okay, this is good. It's good. Not wow, but it's good, you know. And so I was in this place where I was like, I didn't really know, how do I feel about Ado? It's like, I love her voice, but her music's kind of got me somewhere between, this is really cool, and has she already lost the magic? And then Elf came out, and I just remember listening to that and going, yeah, this is brilliant. And, you know, I've actually been back and listened to Elf a few times subsequently. And yeah, I maintain that song is really gorgeous. And the big reason is because unlike songs like Show, where there's just like constant singing to 11 when it's not necessary, and almost feel like, you know, Ado is just doing that voice because that's the voice people expect from Ado. Like Elf was an example of this much more restrained, mature voice where she built up to the notes and she sung, like the power was in the right places, but then she had this brilliant understated energy in other places, and the song was very pretty, very gorgeous. The video as well, it was easy to get a good thumbnail off this video just because the visuals were beautiful as well. You know, one of the animated videos is normal. Great stuff. All right, I'm going to turn off the air conditioner again. It's going to be boiling in 5 seconds flat. So here's my girls Emma again with the song Check It Out. Yeah, again, when it comes to my friends, not much I can say because I don't want to get caught on the bias train, but they're fucking amazing. Emotion by Alia. So Alia are like one of my beloved groups, but I know that when I react to them, I don't get many views, like 109 views. They're actually very popular in Japan. They can play very big venues in Japan, but they just don't seem to have connected as well with overseas audiences. I think their sound is, they definitely got that kind of sound that works very well in like Asia and in Japan, but isn't so much what I think Western fans are looking for when they look for Japanese music. But I think they're superb, and Emotion was a great song. I must admit though, it's another one of those ones where I'm like, I haven't come back to it enough. So maybe I should more. Similar thing with Haku. Haku, I've had mixed feelings on. Like a lot of these bands, when they're coming up, you're hearing the potential, but like some songs really work, some songs not so much. Definitely, this was a point where they were working really well again. So I think my opinion is pretty stable on that. A lot of other craziness here. Okay, yeah, Reincarnation with Cheer. They're all way down in Fukuoka, but I really want to go meet them. They're so lovely. I've been speaking to them on Message. I really want to go meet them. Queer again. Wester. Oh, back on the world standard again. Oh, that song's so catchy. Proper quality. Girls Fist GT, I still think their marketing's all over the place, and it's really difficult to identify where exactly it is that they're going to post their music next, because it's like over 4 different channels. But great band. I've been enjoying them as I've been going on and more. So Upiko with Compass, I feel like she's an interesting talent. Like, she's got a lot of followers, but I still don't feel like her name's entirely mainstream. But a lot of people really love what she does, and that includes myself. So yeah, I again haven't come back to her as much as I should do. But then again, this is the second single from that Scandal mini album thing they did, and this one definitely is the song of that album. I wasn't sure at first, but definitely the song of the album. I really love that. So I come back to that one. If I'm coming back to a recent Scandal song, that's probably the one I come back to. And then Wisteria with Yume. This one caught me off guard, because when I first heard it, I was like, oh, that's cool. But then it was stuck in my head for days, and I came back to it more and more. And again, this one, I think I'm going to put Yume down in the Dreams Harlequin category of songs that, boy, oh boy, just they're smile-bringing, simple pop rock songs that get stuck in your head. So yeah, absolutely love that. I need to quickly blow my nose. So 1 second, I'm going to walk away. Like I say, we never edit on this channel. So you're going to watch me walk away, get a tissue, and then come back. This is the quality of video that you feel bad for anyone who skips to this point and they're like, wait, is this video just him walking away? I have a tissue. I'm good. It wasn't much, but it was a little bit, so I might have to do that again. But yeah, Wisteria with Yume. I already had a positive feeling towards Wisteria because obviously I'd seen them live without knowing it was them. And then this is one of those bands, I'd seen them live at an event that another band I was working with would played at. And I thought, well, that's a good band. And I just slowly pieced together all these things and realized, oh, that band I saw live the other day and that band I overheard in like the Fox God bar. I put them all together. I was like, oh, that's all the same band. I was like, there we go. But yeah, I kind of had like an excitement about them anyway. And then Yume came out. I was like, this is great. But then it stuck with me. And that definitely, Yume is one of my catchiest, is one of my smile bringers of the year. So obviously live week, that ended up becoming the 24-hour live stream that I did where we were just listening to live music for 24 hours straight. Yeah, so a lot of other great bands here. Zero Sum, I stuck by what I said on that one. You know, for a band who I love, Zero Sum is probably one of my least favorite songs by them. I love the musicianship. It's super impressive, but it just doesn't stick with me so much. But it's definitely an impressive song. I think my moustache is actually tickling my nose. Is that the most English thing I've ever said? Probably. So, my name is Malguem, as this, I keep on saying it wrong, but my name is Malguem, I think is how you pronounce it. That song, not my favourite by them, but continued that whole thing of them being, that song's really popular, but it wasn't really my favourite. I kind of preferred TBH, but that was a good one. It was a good one. I kind of not really come back to that one though. So Bath Bombs by Caramel Candid. Again, no music video for this song, but it was a really good one. Really enjoyed that as always. They are amazing. Utaha and Sen, that was a strong song. I haven't come back to that one as much as I should have done. And Only Two People by Anno-chan. That was a good song, but especially now hearing it in the context of the albums really added something to it. Definitely added something to it. Polka Stingray again, continuing with the brilliance. Doppelganger, so many great songs. So many. Prologue by Manatee, like I mentioned, that was superb. Fubuki. So yeah, my interest in the Hololive stuff has really increased so much of recent. Getting into actually seeing some of the Hololive videos and getting an idea for the context and listening to more and more of the songs. Absolutely. A lot of that Hololive music is absolutely superb. But that was like one of the first ones where I remember looking at the video going, wow, this is a VTuber video? And it was just, the song itself is fairly straight shooting, like, J-rock. It's fairly off-the-shelf J-rock, but it's good. You know, in the same way that, you know, an average song in a good genre is still going to be good music. So, you know, it's still good, but it's not like a super memorable song, but the video really makes you go, wow, okay. So that one stuck with me a lot. But then I started listening to more and more, and just so much great VTube music we caught up with. Wow. Yeah, some great songs. So many of these are fantastic songs. So many of these are some fantastic songs. Massive credit to Rouleur again. Girls Fist and Eminu. These are all young artists from this area who I really like. Alexandros continue to be the guy band who we come back to every now and then. Yeah, so again, have to give credit to Quer. I think they've really proven themselves live. I don't think they've tried to. You see occasionally in their clips, they were like with their first take clip, they never showed the bit where the bassist was playing the slap bass. I was like, okay, they might have overlaid that afterwards. I don't know. So I get that, but as a general, I feel like Quer have really proven that they are at least good enough to play shows, and you know, they deserve to be taken seriously, especially considering what they're basically doing is influencing people who wouldn't have played music to pick up instruments in Korea and start playing music so that Korea can start having a healthy underground musicianship band, girls band scene like in Japan. So I think in a way them not being like ultra top of their game is great because it influences other people to say, hey, just get started. You can do some good songs. You know, hey, if you're learning an instrument, you want to play a choir song, it's not going to be super complicated, so you can learn it. So I think their whole vibe is really good for encouraging people up. But that brings us on to Fourlier, who are a very well-trained band with Voyage. So that was their first song after joining onto Amuse, and just, such a joy song again. Another one of those catchy joy songs. Gotta love it. Retro My Girl. They've been great. They're playing live a lot in this area. I need to go see them sometime soon. I've seen them a lot of venue leaflets and flyers and things. So, okay, we have to mention about Die 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 Fantasista by Sakura Miko. So this is another Hololive song. I liked this when I first heard it. It's grown on me massively. It's so thickly layered with clever ideas. And I was surprised how the song wasn't... I don't think it felt like a catchy song at first. And yet, strangely, again, it got drilled in my brain without me really expecting it to. So I came back to that one a lot. But that's an absolutely superb song. I think the fact this song was so good, the fact that this one stuck with me and got caught in my head, if like the Fubuki song was the one that made me go, oh wow, I need to check out more Hololive music, this is really interesting. Like hearing Sakura Miko's song, Da 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 Fantasista, that's the one that made me go, all right, yeah, I can properly fall in love with this. Because that song, again, this is a song this one of the songs on this list that I most come back to and re-listen to, believe it or not, is that one. I really love that song. Dreams video, nice. A little bit of Scandal. A little bit of A Pretty Woman. And then Neki were sort of filling out the rest of their album at this point. Good songs. I'm still thinking about doing a full album review for the second Neki album. I'm unsure. I don't think it's quite got the same impact as the first one. I feel it's stuck in sequel territory in that a lot of what it does, you can tell it's like there's songs like Zero Sum kind of recreating feeling of the energy of Marze, and there are certain songs which feel like they're maybe very clearly doing a sequel, trying to sort of rinse and repeat and get the same result. But I'm not saying that like they're copying their own songs, just more like they're going, oh, well, make sure we got a song that's like that. And you kind of feel like even the covers look fairly similar. So it definitely feels like a sequel to me. But with that all being said, I think it's a strong album. I do think that I still prefer Exclamation. In fact, I'm pretty certain I do. But I must say that there are some fantastic moments on the second album, and I'm waiting for the third album. I'm hoping the third album would be a little bit different. The first view we've got of the first single they've released from the third mini album, as I believe it's going to be, was OOAK. And that song, the cover for that again goes for kind of a slightly pop art style, but it's like a ransom note with like a black background. It looks a bit darker. We'll get up to that anyway because I've reacted to that one. But that certainly has me interested about the future for Neki. Maybe we're going to get a slightly different vibe on this one. Ado, Bouquet of Flowers continued that vibe. Of course, me talking about Shimika Nozawa. This is that second Lila Sakura song I was talking about, where again, she, after humming, she recaptured that ability for just like perfect melody with a minimalist but super effective background music. So that was great stuff. This is the song Ikizama by East of Eden. This is the song that was like, okay. So yeah, they're going to be like up in the game significantly from their first song after they came back. Ikizama was superb. And the video was great as well. It's top notch. Kaiju Pickles, they were great. So yeah, Gacharic Gakko, I liked them at first, and then they did some songs that I really just found pretty nauseating. And One Heart for me felt like they were starting to turn back in a positive direction. So maybe that was 2 months ago. I need to have a little listen to Gacharic Gakko again and catch up, because I feel like maybe they're going back in the right direction, to my taste. Kick-Ass Iris Mono finally got a music video. And then this one's got 28,000 views. And this was me talking about the Ado Suisei Yoisobi song. Look, it's a McDonald's remix. Do I go back to it regularly? No. I mainly go back to the individual component songs that were used for this remix. The individual Ado song, the Suisei song, the Yoisobi song. I do appreciate that 28,000 people watched this, but the video has me just going, well, look, I thought it was going to be terrible. It wasn't as bad as I expected. That was basically my review. I stand by that, but yeah, I haven't had the urge to go back to it. It's just, I'd rather go listen to the originals, and it's still got that stupid bloody sound in it. So don't put a deep fat fryer alarm sound in your song. Like I said, so originally, before that one came out, the reason why I had low expectations is that I'd previously done a song, this one, which was about how McDonald's had previously done the T-Rory remix of Ado's song Odo. And Odo, as I mentioned earlier, was like one of my formative favourite Ado songs, and really loved that. And Tirori remix is basically just their name for putting the deep fat friar sound over the top, and they killed that song. They destroyed something beautiful. And then they brought in ASMI as well, and she got involved in having her song remixed into that and destroyed. And it was just so annoying having, an alarm sound. Like I said in that video, an alarm sound is literally a sound that's supposed to be unpleasant so that you try to make it stop and therefore become ready to do whatever it is you had to do. It's deliberately supposed to be an unpleasant sound. And so you're doing remixes centered around an unpleasant sound. So I must admit, I was glad that it was used very quietly and in the background of the Ado's Yoasobi Suisei song, but still not quietly enough. I like it, but yeah, I wouldn't come back to it just because I don't want to hear the na, 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 and I can just go listen to the originals. So Get Well Soon to Katana, yes, I maintain that. And Palanao, Raison d'etre, brilliant stuff, continuing their work there. Ave Musica Crucifix X, I think I gave that a slightly lukewarm reception when I first heard it, and I got to be honest, my opinion on that has only continued to decrease. I don't really get anything from that song, if I'm honest. Wisteria again, another cool song. Go Nuts was great. The Metal Fourth announcement, and cool. Yeah, again, another band I know, so a bit cautious about saying too much about sounding biased, but that was a really cool one. Ready to Rock. It's a good song. It is a good song. I like it. I don't come back to it as much as Zen. I think Zen clicked for me better. Ready to Rock was cool though. Zen was better. But then like Forbidden Tale was just epic, excuse the pun. From Me to You. Now this is actually a good example of one that did grow on me. When I first heard it, I think I was mainly trying to adjust to the fact that, okay, it's this slightly more produced babe metal sound, and we got Poppy in, who I wasn't really sure, but the little bit I'd heard from her before, I was like, I really don't like this. So I was kind of more going into that thinking, all right, let's see what we get. And subsequently I came out thinking, this is really good. But I've re-listened to it more and more since. And yeah, I actually really enjoy that song. From Me to You is a really good listen. Really strong, powerful, uplifting, great feel. Yeah, so I like that one a lot. You again, brilliant stuff. Rockstar again, this was after Elf. This was Ado cementing that layer of just great quality, that she was getting these backings. Rockstar obviously a very different backing from Elf, but she's grabbing that song and she's just again doing the same thing. She's got a backing and she's using her voice perfectly to extract the most from the song and the arrangement. So that was another awesome one. So Hanabie say, oh yeah, kind of forgot about this song. This was pretty good. But she had another one after this that I actually enjoyed even more. That one was okay. I haven't heard a bad Suisei song yet. Some of them are not super grabbing, but there's no bad one. The very worst Suisei songs are kind of quirky, original, and funky. But at their best, they're absolutely brilliant. So Sakura, great. Love Struck by Folia continued that journey that we'd had with them after Voyage, really hitting great stuff. Play We Dew was brilliant until I realised I was just watching a Mountain Dew advert. Alright, so Anno, I said at the top of here, best video of the year. It's definitely, at the moment, it's one of two songs that are very much, in my opinion, up for best video of the year when I do my next end of year awards. Sixth one there. When the seventh one comes around, this song is definitely in the running. But now that the album's come out, sitting back and listening to the album, this is actually genuinely one of my favourite songs on the album as well. The production is mad, but it's so uplifting. And, uplifting can be, like most emotions, can be done in a very cheap way. But when you do it right, where all the nuance and the quality is there, and you just listen to it and think, wow, this song's just got so many ideas, and yet none of them clutter or stop it carrying the emotional depth. I guess that's actually a kind of a big point. I often talk about liking songs having a lot of detail. I think some people sometimes think I just want my songs to be cluttered, and it's quite the opposite. Like, I don't like songs that just sound cluttered and messy. It's like you want a song to have enough detail and nuance that makes you want to come back to it, but not get in the way of having the melody or whatever the central focus is carrying the song forwards, without getting in the way of the song feeling like it's going from beginning to end in a followable, traceable journey that's easy to ride along with, and not in the way of having the emotional impact. And for me, that song Lonely Rock and Robot definitely had this vibe. it felt positive, it felt hopeful, it felt happy. It felt like it had its like intense moments, like the EDM drop in the second verse, where it has a little bit of a sense of struggle, a little bit of a sense of fight to it, but it's still just a astonishingly uplifting song. And I think it captures a lot of what Anno does well, which is doing songs that don't sound disposably just happy for the sake of it. They have a bit of a depth, they have a little bit of a sense of struggle to them, but they still, she's still able to deliver you on the other side, feeling like you've been on a crazy journey and you've come out happier for it. And for me, that's what that song really gathered. So, yeah, I still love that song. And if anything, I'm surprised how much I still love it. I know it was only like a couple of months it came out. Maybe a month and a half ago it came out. But I was wondering whether because the song had a fairly poppy vibe and the music video was all colourful and over the top, whether maybe I was just being fooled by the sugary sweetness of it. But no, like hearing the audio only version on the album and just rocking with it, it's like, no, that song is absolutely superb. So yeah, I very much followed that and it's grown on me. It's one of my favourite songs on the album. It's difficult because it's up against the Leeless Anno song, which is just one of my, adore that song. It's up against that, and it's also up against Bubble Me Face, which we'll come up to later, which is an astonishingly catchy and crazy song. But do you know what? I think Lonely Rockin' Robot might, I want to say for certain, but it might be my favourite song on the new Anno album. I guess that's another one where I'm going to have to give it a full album review and we're going to have to find out. But for now, it's definitely in the running. Linda by Sentinel. I'm really glad to see so many people enjoyed this. You know, they've got nearly 1,000 views, which surprised me, but that's a great song. Cool little song. Again, one of those ones that I wouldn't come rushing back to, but definitely just when you do hear it again, you think that's a nice one. Yeah, so definitely worth coming back to. Buzzer 01 or Buzzer 01 as they should be called, with Shoe Cream. Love the song, but they've relaunched as a 5-piece. And again, they're another one who's going to be appearing on my channel sometime soon. Actually, in about 3 months, I think they're going to be on the channel. We're recording with them in just under 2 months. And so they should be on the channel in about 3 months because we're getting a faster turnover with the new equipment, hopefully. So definitely check that out. But yeah, God, they're a good band. I can't wait to see how I feel about them more after the interview, actually. But yeah. Gorgoro with Ash again. This is one that it was cool, but I remember thinking it sounded great, but in a really Western way. It sounds like a Western kind of song. And on that level, it worked, but it just wasn't like, it wasn't one where I went, like, must come back to this. But I remember listening to it at the time, definitely had a strong effect. Don't think my opinion on that's changed hugely, but still love it. Just Out Regret, or Guessed Out Regret, however you want to pronounce it, by Caramel Candid. Yeah. Might be my favourite song of the year so far. It's a difficult one. There's a lot to weigh up, but yeah, I said before earlier, the reason why I love Caramel Candid is because I genuinely love their music. I genuinely love their music. I'm not lying. I'm not screwing around with you. I'm just being honest. I genuinely adore their music. And I want them to succeed because I want them to be up at the place where I think they deserve to be. And for me, they do this all themselves, but Just Out Regret is just probably my favorite song by them yet, and it just shows how much they're rising. And it also brings together so many of my previous favorite things from them. It's got like the catchiness of Virus Buster. It's got like the edgy, sort of gritty, emotional outbursts of Caramel Girls. It's got the sense of genuine emotional depth that you could get more from some of their other songs, like the Christmas song or 20 Carnations, obviously transmitted in a slightly different way, but it's got a bit of that. And plus it's just got that sort of raw, powering energy of like Short Story, with the musicianship of Short Story as well, with like really great bass line and everything. So yeah, one of my favorite songs of the year, full stop. Just Out Regret, brilliant stuff. Ivor Music has certainly sort of pulled me around, a lot of spirits, great stuff. Yeah, so I kind of reacted and covered a lot of the good stuff here. Toganashi Togeri, I wish I could talk about them more on the channel, but most of the stuff was already covered in my Twitch, so I haven't really been able to review them much on the channel. But still, Trident, 5 years, good for them. And more of a Dead Girl's Fist. Yuko Suzahana back with like Wagaki Band 2.0. That was brilliant. That was a brilliant song though. So this one's interesting. Caramel Pain, rather than Caramel Candy. Caramel Pain by Suisei, Hoshimachi Suisei. This one, I at the time said, oh, I don't think this one's super catchy. when I was listening to it. And then I've come back to it subsequently and I'm like, you know what, actually that song is really catchy. This is one of those sort of phantom catchy songs where the time you're listening to it and you think that one gets stuck in my head. You know, sometimes you get songs where the first chorus comes around and you go, that one gets stuck in my head. And then by the last chorus of the first playthrough, you're thinking, this is much catchier than I thought at first. You know, it's interesting how quickly various songs can grow on you. But Caramel Pain, I think it was, I listened to it, I put it down for a couple of days, and then I came back to it when I was editing a short video about it. And I came back to it a few times, like, wow, this is really coming back to me quickly, and it got drilled into my head. And yeah, now it's going around in my head, certainly. But that's a great one. That's a great one. My Little Devil and I continues showing a little bit of that hardcore sound. Love Song by QIS or Chris or however they want to be pronounced. That's a great one. Kilt Meltland again, really good fun. My Go, trying to get into them, but good start. Liking what I'm hearing. Definitely want to get a little bit more of what their hook is. Oh yeah, Last Lamp with Psycho. Yeah, Last Lamp were, again, one of those bands. Love to hear more to really get an idea, but solid start. I'm liking what I'm hearing so far. Miko met with Sugar Rush, that was great. Yosobi, great. Yorushka, thank you Dragonfly for like keeping on reminding me to get into them. I'm enjoying them. Hopefully gonna enjoy a lot more. So Many the Familiar with Sanctus. Many the Familiar was a group who I caught by this song and I did a reaction and then they reached out to me and we've spoken a lot. Hopefully they're going to be on that show again later this year. But I saw them live, they invited me along, and just boy oh boy, there's a lot of potential there. Their songs are grand but melodically fantastic. Really enjoying them. So that band, when I saw them live, I was like, you know, I was thinking, am I just going to be listening to this thinking, oh, this is a band I reacted to, or am I going to feel like that inner urge to jump up and sing along and just bounce around to the songs I know? Sanctus being the one. Especially because obviously I did a reaction. And yeah, I was there and I just felt myself like, yeah, I just want to sort of jump about this. It's just so much good fun. So the energy was great. And yeah, they have really won me over with that. Moila, No Way Out, lovely. They contacted me recently. They're lovely people. Destinex by PassCode, still keeping that awesome journey going. Zootama with Cream. Not so much a song that I've come back to much since I did that reaction a couple of weeks ago, but it just cemented how good Zootama are. Obviously, I'd seen the live footage, but seeing that just reminded me more and more, wow, this is like a really good group. I need to cover more of this. I love their kind of pop meets genuinely artist and musicianship vibe. But definitely, and the animation as well, the video was awesome. Confusing as fuck, but awesome. So I need to come back to Zootama a little bit more. But they left a good taste. Wouldn't say my opinion's changed, but good first song. Not like the best thing ever, but really good first song. Definitely one I want to come back to for more. Asian Kung Fu Generation. I was surprised how nice that was. Again, a fairly simple, straight shooting song as they often do, but that was a nice one. ASSUN 1996, beautiful song. Again, more ASSUN just being amazing. Never Feel I can't believe they covered Nanase Aikawa. But no, I haven't been back to re-listen to that, mostly just because of the fact that the way they covered it was really straightforward. I think it kind of reminded me of their earlier covers from when they first started, the ones that didn't really appeal to me. There was nothing wrong with them, but they just didn't add anything to the songs. They just kind of straight rock played the songs. And I felt like they did that to Nanase Aikawa, which was a bit of a shame. I felt like someone should have been covering the keyboard role, even if it had been on a different instrument. Because it felt like weirdly thin without the keyboard line being represented in any way in their arrangement. But still, that was just good to hear them play that. So Monster with Polka Dot Stingray demonstrates another direction. Because obviously we had Joe Decky going a little bit pop. We had Out going a bit rock. And then we got like... we've got Monster kind of going into sort of like a little bit of a darker kind of, I guess more of a mature pop direction. If Joe Decky was more like the bubblegum sweet pop, this is like the slightly darker, more serious introvert kind of pop. So respect to that. Hanabie is Spicy Queen. I already said about that earlier. I listened to that along with Never Feel as Brainwash. Just great stuff. Great stuff. BABYMETAL's Song 3 though. Yeah, I said at the time how I felt about that. It's quickly worn off on me, and I don't mean that necessarily in a good way. I don't hate it, but I'm waiting for the album to come out to re-listen to it, because every time I've tried to re-listen to it, the first time I heard it, I was just caught by the itch knee sound, and oh, this is fun, and oh, they're referencing Song 4, and oh, there's a good little chorus in there. But every time I go back to re-listen to it, like the itch knee sound bit, doesn't quite grab me as much as it did the first time. Feels a little bit too... Yeah, I just feel like this one, it's trying to be heavy. And I get it. It's trying to be like the heaviest BABYMETAL song, quite possibly. And I do get that. but for me, it ends up getting a bit too muddly, a bit too growly. I think it would have been enough to either not have Slaughter to Prevail do any vocals and just let Moa do like the heavy vocals, or have Moa just sing as a normal member of BABYMETAL and use her vocals to do like the Kawaii stuff, and then have Slaughter to Prevail do the metal bits. But having two people doing like the metal growls just meant it all sounded a little bit too muddy, along with the fact the song already wasn't like the most musically interesting. So you end up at this point where it was charming and it certainly had a good shock value, but I just wasn't drawn to come back to it. But I think this might be one of those ones where when I hear it on the album, my opinion might flip back again. Because I might be listening to the album and it's like, oh, everything's kind of fun, a little bit straight shooting, has like a radio-friendly value, and then suddenly song 3 comes on and just like surprises you and like, yeah, surprise, here we go, and blows you away. That could end up gaining a bit of its quality, well, not quality, gaining a little bit of its effectiveness back. Eminu again being amazing. Sock and Narrow covering Real Existence, that was cool. Glim Spanky, I love that. I can't wait to catch that again. That was such a cool first song. I need to re-listen to that again. I haven't. These are only 4 days old now. We're looking at very recent ones. We're nearly at the end, but still, that's a great one. Bubble Me Face. I have been listening to this solidly since it came out. I love that song. And I guess because this is the point where we get into the new Anno album as a general. That brings us up to date, doesn't it? With the new Anno album as a general, I think it does what a brilliant album should do, and it does what the first album did, in that it covers such a range of emotions. And yes, I know that Anno's albums are somewhat cobbled together between individual singles, which are done working with different writers, guest writers working with Anno to come up with ideas. Some of them are completely down to the writer, like Lonely Rockin' Robot, which I feel a bit bad saying, considering that's like, I just insinuated earlier, that might be my favourite song from Bone Born Bomb, the new album. But yeah, I think the whole album is just doing exactly what an album should do, which is that it's got variation, so it's got a song for every mood. But yet, if you listen to the album cover to cover, it takes you on a beautiful journey. Starts off hyperactive, goes through all these different versions of hyper before working down into a much more introverted space, and then ending on this kind of grungy anthem, which is like taken from is a cover of an Eyes song, like Anno's older noise punk band that she was in. I wish that band was still going, but I'm glad to see her keeping it alive with the use of that song being represented on this album. But yeah, the whole album is just absolutely superb. Bubble Me Face, though, at the moment, maybe it's just the impact value, the fact it is so in your face, but that's the song that's currently got me by the heartstrings and I'm re-listening to. And it comes right in that perfect place, and those first few songs of the album are just so exquisite. Anno and Leaders with the da-da-da-da-da Destruction song, then Bubble Me Face. Then we go into like Bone Backy Twilight Diary, isn't it? It's the next track, yeah, which is a little bit more chilled, but has a bit of a craziness to it. And then we obviously get like Lonely Rockin' Robot. It's an album that is just alive with great feelings. So at the moment, I'm really being caught by those really exciting, crazy first few songs. But I wonder whether over time, the slower songs towards the end of the album are going to start to grow on me. I can already suspect a couple of them really will. Because when you listen to a song and it's not like you're not quite in the mood for it at the time, but you listen to it and you're like, yeah, when I'm in the right mood, that's going to hit me. I need to hold on to this song because when I'm in the place where that's going to work for me, I want to be ready to put this song on because I just know it's going to work for me when I'm ready for it. I feel like Anno's album's giving me those kind of vibes in quite a strong way. But love the album, absolutely brilliant. Haven't had time to really think about OOAK again, but yeah, I like it. I like it more than the live version, which admittedly the live version we were hearing was pre-release, so maybe they were working on it a bit themselves. But I think this is one of those songs that it needs that clarity and impact of a studio recording to really demonstrate what it's going for. It's one of their simplest songs. I'm still unsure about how much I like it, but it's definitely a song I would listen to again. But at the moment, I've not heard a bad Neki song yet. I've heard at worst songs like Zero Sum where I've been like, oh, this is good, but I wouldn't rush back to it. And at best, you've got songs like freaking Reagan Girl, Get Over, and Dreams as well, where you're just like, I just need to listen to this over and over again because it's so good. So yeah, for me, this is like not immediately grabbing me as one of their top songs, but it certainly does give me a vibe of like, this is a band who haven't done anything particularly bad yet, and whilst having their own identity. It's not because they're hiding behind being copycats, they are keeping their identity front and center. And then Rosalia, I released this, and then literally a day later they came out with a new song just to kick me in the face. But anyway, that brings us up to date. Wow, look at that. I was thinking, oh, maybe this video will be an hour. Nearly 2 hours long. I don't know. Was this entertaining? Was this not entertaining? You let me know. But I just kind of enjoyed recapping the last year. So you saw the videos I scrolled through. If you sat with me for 2 hours, were there any songs where you were like, Howard, why didn't you talk about that one? Was there anything that really grabbed your interest? I would say probably the thing that I've most noticed from this, I mean, it reminds you just how much incredible music is coming out in this country. How much just genuinely superb music is coming out of Japan all the time. This really reminds you of that. So just looking through all these songs, I'm just thinking to myself, wow, so many great songs, from like the technically impressive, the kind of heavy, bombastic stuff like Lovebites, through to the catchy, simple, just joy-bringing songs like Harlequin by After School and Neki with Dreams, all the way through to the sort of slightly technical and crazy stuff, the likes of Anno with Lonely Rockin' Robot, and then the stuff which has kind of got like a grand sense of beauty to it, like with Forbidden Tale by Band-Maid, which is just a beautiful song, to the songs that are like really playfully just throwing so many things at you, like Dai 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 Fantasista by Sakura Miko, and just the incredibly crazy videos from Fubuki's 3D video all the way through to Lonely Rockin' Robot again, but through to things like I was going to mention another one, T by Kinopo. There's just been so much music, and I can't say this enough. I'm just so overwhelmed with joy to be in Japan. I've spent time being homeless in the past. I have gigs on my doorstep that I can't afford to go to, because sometimes I'll even get a free ticket to go there and I just can't afford the drink fee to get into the venue. I am not making a huge amount of money. You guys keep me alive. So I'm not playing up like I'm living the perfect life or anything. But the reason why I'm happy to be here is I'm just happy to be here and working with and talking to and around the artists in this scene, because from the smallest artists, from the PDs and the Caramel Candids, all the way up through your Palaneos, all the way up through your Gacharic Spins and your Lovebites, up to your Band-Maids, up to your BABYMETALs, up to the biggest names. Through all those scales, there's just this amazing, just cornucopia of quality and variation and detail and music of every style that just makes you go, wow, this is so interesting. I'm so glad to be here and surrounded by so much. And just, you don't know what's going to come out next. It's going to be amazing, whether it be from an artist you love or an artist you've never heard of. It's funny because I was asked at the end of last year, I think it was on the Ears to the East podcast, another channel I do, you can see them all lined up at the top here. I think it was on the Ears to the East podcast, we were talking about this at the end of last year, and the comment came up, what are you most excited about coming out next year, 2025? And I said, well, I can name things like, looking at things like Band-Maid and Anno and all these kind of artists. But I said, the thing I'm most excited about is whatever I don't know about, whatever I don't know to be excited about yet. That thing that we haven't yet discovered that's going to suddenly appear, that's what I'm excited about. So I love that. We're already overflowing and overfed with glorious music, and yet I still know there's going to be amazing things that I don't even know exist right now. Somewhere in a studio, somewhere in a practice room, somewhere, someone is creating a band I'm going to fall in love with. They're writing songs that I'm going to get addicted to, and they're making something that's going to enrich all of our lives, and that's happening somewhere right now. And that's not even including the artists who we talked about today and we already know. So I am just over the moon, excited to see what the future brings for the artists we love and the artists we've not heard of. But yeah, again, I'm just so excited to have done this. I'm so happy you guys have followed me on this journey. Like I said, going back to doing the reaction videos was an odd choice. I wasn't sure at first whether it was something I wanted to do. When I went away from doing reaction videos over to doing the other channel, which is still alive, and starting other things like Ears to the East and Lyric Learner and all that, when I went over to doing those things, there was a part of me which was just like, okay, leave reactions in the past. It's like focus on doing like content which involves more of you putting in the effort, writing the scripts, editing, doing those kind of things, like focus on that. And I still love that content. I love sitting down and creating and crafting a video and crafting something really nice. I mean, like producing those end of year awards videos is one of my favorite things to do. It's really stressful, but it's one of my favorite things to do each year. But doing these reactions, it allows me to cover more music, talk about more music, hear more of the music that you like and share it with you. And so going through that whole experience has just been amazing. And so and I said recently in the video I did about AI that unfortunately a lot of the high effort videos, the things like doing scripted reviews and things like that, those are the things, you know, scripted reviews, we already know that AI is coming to take those jobs. It's not doing a very good job at the moment, but yeah, eventually we're going to get to the point where, you know, AI videos are going to take over all of those. So going to doing like raw reactions and unedited videos like this, I think it just kind of highlights, how to put it, like, puts the focus on just being human and how we respond to music and how our opinions change and how we react to the things that we love. But yeah, I have enjoyed this experience immensely with you all. Anyway, I can see a few seconds will pass and then we will be up to 2 hours. Let's see how long it takes to scroll all the way back down to Neki with Get Over again. Let's see how long it takes. And thank you to you all for enjoying this weird little journey with me. I cannot believe it's been 2 hours. We'll let it run past the 2 hour line just to freak people out when they go to press play on this video. They'll be like, 2 hours? What the fuck? We're nearly at the beginning. I can see the old thumbnail star. We're nearly at the beginning. We're nearly at the beginning. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And there we go. There we go. Look at that. New reviews. That's back when I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And then before that, yeah, like the last before that were Soccer and Ara with a Complicated System 5 years ago and Bratz No More 5 years ago. Yeah, so there was had to go back a fair way beforehand. And they had that in between time I spent over here. So anyway, there you go. Those are my thoughts. 2 hours has been passed. I really hope you enjoyed this. Sorry, I think it might just be waffle. Just me making a couple of uninspired comments about every single song for 2 hours. But I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe it passed a bit of time. Maybe you can add some of your thoughts. I think the most fun thing will be hearing what you guys say. If you do get in the comments and talk about something I said, please make it specific which song you're talking about. Because obviously there's so many subjects we covered here. But there you go. Those are my thoughts. Totally enjoyed talking to you guys. Yeah, that should do. And until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these. Wow, I was talking so much I didn't even really refill my coffee. Holy shit, I'm going to get into some more of this coffee now. And for now, ciao, ciao.